All right, Eduardo, I'm starting with you. Give me some good advice on dealing with DDoS attacks.
I would say keep humans in the loop, right? Be prepared before it happens. I think automation is powerful, but when you have trained people and your judgment is still essential in this case. So that would be my good advice.
Keep humans. Don't rely fully on automation. All right, Ash, I want you to do the opposite for me. Give me some bad advice on dealing with DDoS attacks.
I think it's probably believing that it's not going to happen to you. You know what I mean? Just like it happens to somebody else and I'll be okay on the day kind of thing. So that's probably the worst
That
advice.
is, by the way, not only is that bad advice, but that is probably common advice.
Yes. Or people just, it always seems to be happening to somebody else. So until it happens to you, uh, you know, just
Yes.
just believe that it won't. Just believe it won't happen to you. Keep believing it
All right,
won't happen
Eduardo,
to
that's
you.
some pretty good bad advice. You want to one up for me? Give me some worse advice.
Wow. Okay. So actually, this one happened to us from somebody from the infrastructure team years back, many years back. Just block all the foreign traffic.
Just block.
Yeah,
That
you
will stop a DDoS
yeah, that
attack,
was yeah, no
probably.
kidding, right? You block half of your customers, your supply chain, probably some of your remote workers. You're blocking a lot of stuff now. I mean, it's global. These guys are coming from everywhere. So blocking all foreign
I'll
traffic
tell
is
you something
really
for
not
our
going to do
U.S.
something.
listeners. That is some serious America first
Yeah, yeah.
attitude. All right, let's get this rolling.
Get ready. It's Super Cyber Friday.
Come on, find this coming up. Welcome everybody to Super Cyber Friday. I'm trying to get this darn thing. Can you, Josh? Can you get it open? This darn button is not clicking for me. Trying to get it to. Oh, there it goes. Now it finally goes. Hopefully, yes. Today's topic is hacking the evolving DDoS, an hour of critical thinking about the changing threats to service availability. That's what it's all about. Hey, our guest today, Eduardo Ortiz Romeo, who's the VP of Global Head of Cybersecurity for Tektronic Industries, and also Ashley Stevenson, also goes by Ash. He's the CTO over at Carrero, and guess what? Carrero is our phenomenal sponsor. Thrilled that Carrero of Carrero Network Security is here to sponsor this discussion on DDoS. And we had this discussion, I'm going to say a good 3 years ago was the last time we had it. All right. Lots of different ways to participate. If you've been on the show before, you know all this stuff before. But here are our bad idea and our 10% better tips. How to make yourself more vulnerable. Essentially, how to make yourself a target for DDoS attacks. That's the bad idea. And how to stay ahead of service availability attacks. That's our 10% better tip. You can always join us on video with Bring Me On and ask a question of our guests. Please ask a question of our guests. You can do that now. If you look in the right-hand corner, there is a little speech bubble with a question mark on it. Click on that, and you can ask a question right there. All right, there's our schedule. Play public interest. We'll play the Department of Yes. We'll have our last questions and answers. And then at the end of the hour, we do our meetup over on Discord, so stick around for that. Also, I want to tell you that next week, we'll be having the show Hacking Your Risk. That's our April 25th show. You can register for that by just clicking the link below where it says register for 425 Hacking Your Risk. It'll open up another window. You can register for it. It will not take you out of this event. So go ahead and do just that while you're watching this. So it's going to be an hour critical thinking of all the things you look for as to what is specifically important to you, your risk in particular. All right. Oh, let's stick around. That's not for now. But that'll be our meetup at the end of the show. All right. I'm gonna ask a really kind of very, very basic question. I'm gonna want you, Ash, to answer it. Just so we're all on the same page. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it is, but just define what DDoS is. Stands for Distributed Denial of Service. Explain what that is.
Yeah, it's a term that's joined the lexicon the last 10 years, but it's actually been going on for 20 years. And it's a cyber attack where the attacker, their intention is to take you offline or make your service not available. And they do that in a variety of ways, but they all relate to sending too much traffic to your service, too many packets, too many requests, too many redirections, all sorts of techniques they've developed over the years. But basically, they don't have to pwn you or hack into you. They simply direct a whole load of traffic at the source of your service or presence on the internet and attempt to take you offline, knock you offline.
And the reason and the methods of this have changed pretty drastically. I know that, and we're going to get into a lot of that throughout this discussion. Eduardo, let me just to set the stage with you two. What is your experience with DDoS? I'm sure you've dealt with it before. Yes.
Yes. So I think that description is very true. It has stayed. I think it's more than 20. I mean, I remember the first one in 2000 that I actually did a post about the Mafia Boy incident with I think it was Yahoo, right? So it has evolved, right? And I have seen the really basic ones, but they were throwing us off a lot. This is back early 2000s, and it just varies now. I mean, you have DDoS as a service, so it has gotten really sophisticated. Now I think now.
Well, actually, that's kind of the opposite. I mean, it's sophisticated in that, but it's DDoS as a service, like we have ransomware as a service. It's now available to anyone without technical capabilities, is what it is.
Anyone can do it, and it's a lot faster, I think. Now you have more power. So,
well, and I'm assuming, Ash actually also, we talked about this in the little promotional video we made for this, but from what you're witnessing, it's 10x across the board, and there's a lot of variables that have gone up 10x. Walk us through that.
Yeah, that's right. We were chatting about what's happened in the last decade, and when I reviewed the statistics, and that it pretty much turns out the rule of thumb is it's 10 times worse than it was 10 years ago. So there's 10 times as many attacks. There's 10 times the number of vectors. The power of the attacks has gone up 10x. The number of requests in the attacks, everything's gone up that kind of exponential leap during that time, which is sort of not surprising because most DDoS is affected by leveraging the internet and turning it on itself. So as the internet grows, so do the weapons available to the attackers.
Is that analogous? I don't know. Has the internet grown 10x?
Yeah, about
since 10 years?
30%, about a 30% a year. That's right. Some corners have grown faster, but it's typically growing at the same pace the internet's growing. So as new applications or new servers come online, the bad guys figure out how to leverage them to, do bad rather than good.
All right. Here, let me just sort of spotlight some of these bad ideas already coming in from John Holt, partner with residential router makers to install variabilities.
No, I like the bad idea where announce that you're DDoS proof. In other words, bring it on kind of thing. That will.
That's the classic. It's the egging them on technique. Like, I'm impenetrable.
Yeah. Well, another one is like, let's announce it in social media, so they leave us alone. You're inviting more people to the party.
Exactly. Announce your James Sparrenberg. It's the announce that you're DDoS proof. That's by the way, that's a classic technique of getting slapped. Although, I'm not going to tease it because I know if we end up using that for our Department of Yes game, I know the good answer to that. Actually, there is a good answer to that if we do that, and we'll see if either one of you drop on it. All right, so everything's gone up 10x. What has to change with your defense, you think, Eduardo, if a problem becomes 10x harder? And it's just sort of a general question about being a CISO. When a problem becomes a 10x problem now than it was before, what changes?
So that's a good one, right? Like why are we getting attacked? Are we ready? Are we really able to scale? Like I always say, let's prepare before it happens. It's hard to prepare for this type of DDoS attacks right now, right? So from our perspective, we stay up to speed with threat intel. We actually, and I think historically, the DDoS, it's kind of like people forget about it, but it happens in a lot of different ways nowadays, right? So in our case, it's like, hey, do we want to be more? We were always reactive to DDoS attacks. At least in the past, it was a reactionary. It's been really difficult to be proactive for these attacks, because now the amount of the speed that these guys are doing it, and there's a term, I forgot it, but it's hyper volume assaults. I think it's the name.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys can correct me, but I heard it and I was like, wow. So they went from DDoS to hyper volume.
What is that?
Type of
What's the
attacks.
difference between a DDoS and a hyper volume assault? I mean, it does sound the same.
I think it's referring to the 10x. You know what I mean? It's like off the
Okay.
charts compared to what we were seeing a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think when I heard somebody explain it to me this way, and I think it's true, it's when it exceeds 1 terabyte of 1 TB per second.
Mhm.
It's more common now, right? So that's what they call the hyper volume. I believe that's kind of like if you go over 1 terabyte, then that's a hyper.
So, Ash, back in October, we actually got hit by a pretty severe DDoS attack, and it lasted 24 hours. And I hadn't had experiences with DDoSes, and I was talking to other CISOs and says, "Oh, you're getting targeted. If it's going that long, you specifically are getting targeted." And then I read, like, there was a news report that came out, and I don't know if you remember this, but it was the largest DDoS attack. So technically, we weren't getting targeted. We were just swept up in a big ass attack that was going on.
Collateral damage. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's not so much. They just hit a lot of us. It was just I wasn't specifically being singled out, which I guess that makes me feel better. I don't know. But that seems like a change in that we've seen mass DDoS attacks, but not going on that long, and that this happened, and this was the first thing. I mean, do you have memory of this? This was back in October.
Oh.
That these attacks are going on for such a long duration now, because wouldn't they just usually just about an hour and they're done, or how?
Well, it all depends on the motive, but we see attacks. Most attacks are short. Like the ones we track, something like, I don't know, 75% of them are less than 10 minutes. But there are a lot in that average. There are a lot of long-running attacks where somebody wants to persevere and take somebody offline, particularly if they don't have defenses in place, and they just grab the frequency like they used to with jamming radio transmissions, and just camp on it and sit there with the attacks and keep them from recovering. But we've had them last weeks as well. I mean, that's not uncommon. Long running attacks, as well as a lot of hit and run, short, fast, move on kind of attacks as well.
Is it more costly for the attackers to run a 24-hour one versus just a 10-minute one? I mean, is it more costly?
It is, yeah. One reason is just the length of time, but a lot of the weapons that are used out there, they're shared vulnerable resources on the internet, so they get shared by all the bad guys. So if there are a lot of vulnerable, DNS reflectors out there, then they're being used at the same time by multiple different attacking groups, and that capacity to attack gets spread over multiple victims. So yes, going in with a short, sharp 10-minute burst and then moving to the next target with a 10-minute burst, you can attack more people with a higher spike than if you just leave it the attack weapon trained on one victim. So there's definitely an economy or an efficiency of operations related to some of these attack methods. Another reason is people who have like yesterday's kind of DDoS protection, it might take them 10 to 15 minutes to get things, going. And so once they've got their defenses in place, there's no point staying on them because they're ready. So you move on and then come back in a different vector, 20 minutes or an hour later. We find if you're attacked, there's a 1 in 4 chance you'll be attacked again within 24 hours.
Why is that? Just because you weren't prepared, or is there any rhyme or reason to that?
Yeah, it's like any kind of tactics, cyber warfare, follows the same kind of idea that you move around, get creative, try some defenses. If you can't get through that defense, then try a different attack vector and move to some other protocol or frequency of attack or size of attack. So it's very much, good guys versus bad guys all the time. Our monitoring, we're seeing hundreds, thousands of attacks a day going on. So we get a good, statistically valid, group to to see what's actually going on out there in the.
I'm going to come back to
internet.
what you're saying. Go ahead, Eduardo. What were you about to say?
No, and it's interesting because a lot of people don't think about DDoS attacks because they're pretty old, but I think they're happening a lot more. For example, like I was involved in an incident a few years back where it was a distraction technique, what was kind of like a smoke
Yep.
screen, right?
Yep.
The DDoS started, everyone went one way, and these guys were deploying ransomware on the other side, and we got hit pretty bad, and it was a short attack that, right in the middle of the day. The other thing is like you have, we've been seeing it more with collateral damage from a third party perspective. Somebody gets attacked for some reason, like what happened to you, David. And, we have an API that all of a sudden stopped working and we don't know. And it's basically whoever is controlling that API got attacked, they got a DDoS, and we lost customers at that point. So it's interesting to see what Ashley was saying, and kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of, then you have reputation. I think it's happening, but people are not thinking about it. At least the people I talk to, DDoS, that's all. No, it happens a lot.
No, that's a sad thing. All right, we got our first game. Let's do this. Whoops, that's not what I want to hit. I want to hit
You
this.
know what others are thinking?
Come on.
The public interest.
I'm having problems. Can you launch the public interest, Josh? I'm having problems here getting these launched. Thank you. All right, the public interest. Everyone knows how to play this game. It's pretty simple, but it's tough to win. I actually got a 4 out of 4 at one of these. Rich, one of our producers, created this game. I have not seen it, so here we go. Most average monthly search queries. What do you think gets more, downtime or uptime? Good question. Ash, what do you think, A or B?
Most average monthly search queries. I would say downtime.
This is downtime. I'm going to go downtime. Nobody's searching uptime. Who the heck searches that?
Yeah.
Nobody searches, hey, is everything going great?
Yeah.
You search when
we might be surprised.
When the shit hits the fan. That's when you search. Let's see. Of course. Ooh. I'm surprised it's that close, though. I
know.
That shouldn't be that. Should not be that close. All right. NTP, TCP, UDP. I don't know. What does NTP stand for? Excuse my ignorance.
Network Time Protocol.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. I'm going to say TCP on this one.
I'm going to say TCP because a lot of people are learning about protocols.
Yeah.
And they
I'm going with UDP.
It's between those two.
It's a Renaissance protocol. It was like dying out, but then quick. And HTTP3.
Well, but just these are current monthly search queries. So
yep. No, I think that's
here good. We go. Let's see. What is it? Is it? It's TCP. All right.
Rats.
Eduardo, you and I are currently in the lead, each with 2. Ash has got 1. We got 2 more. Amplification, exhaustion, saturation, and let me also point out these are searches just for these words, nothing else. So you can't think amplification of this, just just for these words. Mm-hmm. Why people just search these words, I don't know, but maybe to spell them.
I'll go with G, exhaustion.
I think that's a good one. I like G.
I usually go against the ones that are spelled or tough to spell because I feel a lot of people won't be able to spell exhaustion.
Or tough to say, exhaustion.
Yeah. But it
gets corrected. It gets corrected nowadays, anyway.
Yeah, it does get corrected.
There's quite a few.
Even if you type the wrong thing, it says we search for this for you instead.
Yeah.
There's a few F's here. Huh.
You know what? I'm gonna go with you guys. G. I'm gonna go G because I don't think it's F or H. Let's see what we got. It is amplification. Oh,
wow. There's a few F here. Tom Williams.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who thought it. All right.
They were on.
Maybe there's someone who's going to go for 4 for 4 in the crowd. We'll see what happens. Limiting, scrubbing, or shaping. What do you think? Now, Ash, you could tie us because we only have 2 here. One of us could come out winning with 3. Limiting, scrubbing, shaping.
That's a hard one. I'm trying to think why would I
I'm going to go
search for
scrubbing on
anyone.
this one. I'm going J.
Yeah.
Scrubbing.
I'll stay technical and say scrubbing. Yeah.
I'll do
Jay.
shaping.
Yeah, the reason scrubbing, because by the way, it's anybody. It's not just technical people.
Yep.
It's like
Yeah.
I'm thinking scrubbing. There's going to be
Yeah.
people looking cleaning products
Pick up.
too. Here.
Yeah. Pick up.
All right, let's see. What do we got? Scrubbing
Ooh.
wins. All right. Oh, I come. So 3-2-2. I came out victorious here. Very happy. All right. Did anyone go 4 for 4 on that? Anyone go 4 for 4? Let's see. With the crowd. What's the point of these questions? That's John Smith. I'll tell you the point, John. The point of these is to have a little fun. And TJ went 4 for 4. Gary and Freddie only 1 4, and I'm on 2 for 4. All right. Congrats to TJ. All right. Oh, now I want to use this thing because, by the way, either Andrew or Josh, who are two producers in the background working, we have a demo of your product up, Ash, and we can drop the link for that. But also for those of you, if you're not already registered for our newsletter, oh, by the way, Josh, can you also drop the link to register for the newsletter? If you're not already registered, when this is done on Sunday, what we do is we pull the best quotes from our discussion and from the chat room. Have a good comment in the chat room. You'll be in our newsletter on Sunday, so give some good wise advice. We'll put a complete replay of this video, and we will have the demo video in that newsletter. If you're not already currently subscribed to our newsletter, on CISO Series, a few months ago we changed it. It was on my personal channel. Now it's on CISO Series. Make sure you register for that, and we will drop the link there. So please drop both the link for the demo, for Carrero's demo, and also for the newsletter, so they can subscribe and also see it again in the newsletter. But Ash, I want to use this time as an opportunity to explain what Carrero is doing mitigating DDoS attacks. They can see it for themselves in the demo, but just give us a short 411 on this.
Yeah, so our name is Carrero Network Security. All we do is provide DDoS protection to businesses around the world. So the employees, at our company, we live, breathe, monitoring, detecting, blocking DDoS attacks for all the customers that we work with. And they're some of them are the largest providers in the world. And that's why we get to see so much of this bad traffic hitting their networks and working with them to automatically, detect it and block it. So you're probably using lots and lots of products where they're kept online by, technology from Carrero that is figuring out, is this a bad packet or a good packet? Is it a legitimate request or, a malicious request? And it's doing that, obviously millions, trillions of times a week around the world.
So looking out for our best interests, I guess.
So David, can I ask
availability?
a question?
That's it. Sure.
Yeah, Eduardo, you got a question?
So what makes you guys unique, right? And for the audience,
Well,
right? Like people know
because
about
there's other providers that do this. Good
Exactly.
point, Ash.
There are,
Eduardo.
Unique would be a little bit of a stretch too far, but one if not the best, obviously in our focused concentration area. We built our product just for this. It's not a repurposed other security product. We grew up with this 10x growth in attacks, and so we built a set of products that scale to those, terabit, multi-terabit, even multi-10 terabit levels, but yet still have the precision to find all the small attacks that are hitting people, every day. So it's really like a dedicated team that brings these products to markets, and then also manages them for a lot of customers too, to keep them available, keep their services available.
Is there something you had to drastically change to manage this 10x growth, or because you were dealing this year over year, did you just know, it's growing, 30% every year, so we're just managing it on a year by year basis? Or if you look back 10 years to now, was there some architectural thing that changed in your solution?
Yeah, the one of the philosophies we have is to do no harm, because unlike other cybersecurity products,
like the Hippocratic Oath.
Well, yeah, but a lot of cybersecurity products, they if you don't have the password, they don't let you in. If they're not sure whether you're legitimate, they'll block you. which is, obviously very frustrating for a lot of people, having to deal with the MFA and the passwords and the access. The thing that's different with DDoS is we're protecting public assets, public resources that everybody's supposed to be able to get to. So it's not acceptable to block legitimate users. So we have to make sure the legitimate folks can get to the service, get to the web, get to their streaming video, whatever it is they want. And our focus is on minimizing the impact of the bad guys. So it almost flips. It's not like a firewall block where you don't get in. We have to let people through and then figure out how to stop the malicious actors from spoiling the party, really. So it's quite a different approach to our segment of the cybersecurity world.
So I just made a poll visible. If you look at the icons on the right, I think it should be the third one down, the little kind of like a little mini bar chart. Click on that, and we are offering warm handoffs to the fine people at Carrero Network Security. If you want to learn about how their solution is dealing with DDoS, what makes them different and unique, you can also look at the demo. But please go check out the demo. Or please go check out the poll. Also check out the demo, but go to the poll, click on that, and we'll connect you to the Carrero team. So please go ahead and do that. All right. I got a question I saw that came in from James Sparenberg, and I think this is a good one. And this is definitely for you, Ash. Have any new methodologies of attack appeared because of new types of hardware, cloud, GPU, whatever? Like, because before. There's a lot of hardware we didn't have before. And I mean, I'm assuming probably they're using a lot of IoT devices. I don't know. How is it happening?
Yeah, the advent of IoT, or the growth in IoT, really did add to the arsenal of weapons that attackers could use. And as we often see, some of the IoT devices we plug in and install in our homes, they're not expensive. They're not that sophisticated. And quite often, we're buying them to sort of participate or chase a trend. We want the Wi-Fi thermostat. We want the baby monitor. We want all these gadgets. The humidity detector. So we rush out, we plug them in, and then we think about security later. So yes, IoT has contributed significantly to the populations of botnets that are out there that can be leveraged to launch DDoS attacks. That's definitely true. Definitely true. Another big thing that's happening is the advent of easy access to, buying compute resources in the cloud. Some attackers now don't bother to go and pwn IoT devices. It's so cheap. They actually just buy the compute they need to launch the attacks because it's become so cheap. It's such a commodity now, cloud compute. You don't have to share those vulnerable devices with other attackers. You can just afford. You're making enough money just to go.
So it's cheap enough to create your own botnet, really?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And
Wow.
also, it was a great study done by some academic researchers. You can actually build a botnet just out of free trials. They went out and got signed up for all the free trials at all the cloud vendors in the world and built a massive, free trial botnet to launch attacks. So it's the commercial. The commercial speed we're moving at with some of these innovations is what leaves the door open to attackers to take advantage of those same resources that can be used for good. They can also be used, for the dark side.
All right. 2 questions came in that are almost identical, and I'm going to show them both from Gary Longside and Andrew Aiken. Ash and Eduardo, how often, and I'll start with you, Eduardo, how often do you see DDoS attacks against obscure services, not HTTP, HTTPS, SSH? How about against custom API 10 endpoints? And Andrew Aiken essentially asks the same thing. What protocols besides HTTP and HTTPS are the primary targets for DDoS attacks? So, what have you seen, Eduardo? If anything.
So it's hard because, we what I call chain reactions, right? From a disruption type of thing where, hey, we have this, we think it's a DDoS, but it goes into a lot of different systems. It can start with a fail login. It can be a broken API. It can it can be data syncs between different services. We're a global company, so we're kind of like, okay, this is not working, but this other part is working. So what's happening? One of the things that actually affect us more is that those chain reactions from the really small disruptions. So if I understand the question correctly, for us, it's a variation of things. We actually we're not an e-commerce site, so we're very B2B.
Right.
In our case, it's more of, entry points and exit points, but we are seeing more are really API driven, right? And it's an API that got, when we go back to the vendor, oh yeah, we have an attack, and that's why this connection was broken. So we are seeing more of that because we have so many APIs on the environment, and it's to be honest, I don't think anyone has a really good asset management inventory of APIs at this point anyway. So we're trying, but it just keeps coming and it keeps rising. So that's what we see the most right now.
So Ash, you are doing the research, so maybe you can actually give me some numbers around this. Like, what attacks are you seeing that are not, HTTP?
Well, not many, because even these microservices that communicate with each other are often using HTTPS, HTTP3, HTTP2, as the transport for their communications. And as Eduardo was saying, when you explode something in, when you split everything up into little microservices, they all connect to each other and interact. And then we've exploded the attack surface for bringing a service down. You only got to hit one of those key resources and the whole thing stops working. So, that's why microsegmentation and API security is such a hot topic at the moment these days. So once again, it's not a surprise really. We've leapt ahead with containerized services and using APIs, machine-to-machine communication as opposed to human-to-web server. And now we're having to catch up and secure all of that to prevent it being leveraged by malicious actors who want to, point those services or disrupt those services for ransom, for competitive reasons, for ideological reasons. There's a whole range of reasons they're doing. It's just very difficult to prevent them from achieving their goal, and that's what we spend our time doing.
Look what James Sparenberg wrote. I once got DDoS by a client who was automating access to a legit service we offered. Just got a little too aggressive. Have you seen accidental DDoS, Ash?
Yes, we have accidental DDoS. We have whoops DDoS. Where we do somebody does a software update. Remember the blue screen of death recently?
Oh yeah, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great. We have excuse DDoS, where somebody doesn't want to admit they didn't design it, so they blame it on the DDoS. They say, "Oh, we got DDoSed by the Russians or something." Where really it was just a poorly designed. Yeah, so there's all sorts of people jumping on the DDoS bandwagon these days. But accidental DDoS is definitely one of them. Ops DDoS is another. So yeah, this.
All right. Go ahead.
There's before you. Well, you're gonna age. I'm gonna age myself here, but we used to walk the data centers a lot, right? I started infrastructure. I caused some DDoS because I bumped into a cable on the router that kind of like, and nobody, all of a sudden, like half hour later, hey, are you there? Something's not working. There used to be a lot of that. This is back early in 2000s, but it happened.
Yeah.
All right. One of the things I want to get into, and we made a slight reference to it at the very beginning, but I want to talk about how the evolution of DDoS has happened. Because as I understand, at the very beginning, it was really just kind of a nuisance, or there'd be some social political reason for doing it, but it is a much different egg now. So kind of walk us through, like, I know smokescreen is one. You mentioned that, Eduardo. Of a smoke screen for another kind of an attack. What are the variations of the reasons for the attacks, Ash?
Well, we would just actually a good segue, because we just started to touch on it. In the last few years, we've seen a lot of attacks attributed to nation states as a result of political unrest or ideological or religious battles that are going on, and the internet's a great equalizer. You don't have to be a superpower to launch a super DDoS. The smallest country, a small group can engineer very large attacks through clever techniques. So definitely that nation state ideology side of it. But then we do see competitive DDoS where it could be one betting site versus another betting site. Often this is in developing countries, but competitors will take each other offline during sporting events. That happens. We've seen the ransom DDoS where people are purely just making money from, if you don't pay up, we'll DDoS you. And they often send a small DDoS to warn you. And if you don't pay your Bitcoin ransom. So, and the use of anonymous payment through, crypto has helped ransom the ransom
but
process.
Let me ask you about that right there. Being that this is do we all feel that DDoS is a solvable but annoying problem? Is it a solvable problem or not?
I don't think.
Eduardo, you're shaking your head. No, it's not.
No. It just comes in different ways now. I think what Ashley was saying is right. Like I can think of, what we're seeing actually is shorter but high intensity attacks, right? Where, hey, I can do this for a long time if you don't pay me. Like that ransom, we haven't suffered from it, but in talking with people, we do get those every now and then, and they get reported, and it's like, oh, okay. But I think it comes in so many different ways, and these guys are getting better in kind of like, how do I do a multi-vector approach, right? Yeah. They're coming at different layers of the network stack. Yeah. And now it used to be, and you gave me an idea of, there was a solution back when. It's like, hey, buy the biggest firewall you can afford and you'll be fine, right? That's like nonsense anymore, right? And it has been nonsense for all this, I think, since somebody said that before. But now you have to defend through so many different vectors that it makes it more complicated. I don't think it's going to go away. I think actually the computing power allows them to be more diverse in how they go about it.
Yeah, it's James Sparenberg. But I just want to point out, James Sparenberg put something up. I can remember when getting Slashdot was a badge of honor. Yeah. Just traffic from Slashdot could be a problem. And that wasn't a DDoS attack. It was just popularity. Yeah.
Well, the AI training models that are going out and grabbing stuff, there's so many of them being fired up now. The internet is actually creaking in places just from the legitimate AI training queries for all of that data. Because think of how many models are reaching out to the internet these days. It's not just a few, tens, hundreds, there are thousands of them, and they're all going out there rereading the same information, over and over again. So that's putting a load on sites these days too.
Yeah. By the way, I have only seen a few bad ideas. I'm going to go to my team. I need some bad ideas for our next game, which we need to play in a few minutes. So I saw about 2 or 3 at the beginning, but heck, remember, guys, this is how to make yourselves more vulnerable for a DDoS attack. I didn't bug you guys enough for that, and I haven't seen that many. So please get some more in. We'll give you another 5 minutes, but remember, let's get those. Not many bad ideas. I'll post them. Yeah, please do. But yeah, there weren't a lot. We do give a winning prize out to the best bad idea. So please send us some more. Ash, I did. Oh, and I do want to remind people, please register for the event we're having next Friday. So just go ahead and click on that. I cut you off. I'm sorry, Ash. I wanted you to explain more rationale. Like, so you did explain a little bit for ransomware. What are all the other sort of? And we have ransomware. Well, it's not. Yeah, ransomware scamming. I'm sorry, smoke screening. What other reasons?
Just making money. There are loads of dark web DDoS services. Just look for their Telegram channels, and like somebody was mentioning earlier, $10, $20, some number of fraction of a Bitcoin, and you can provide the IP addresses or the destination you want to rain down on with all of this malicious traffic.
So going after your direct competition.
Well, but the thing there is on the dark web, these intermediaries are making money out of this, right? So you don't have to be sophisticated anymore. To your point, where it used to be just the techies or the nerds who would do it, now anybody who can click a button on a website can launch a DDoS attack. and has a few dollars or a little cryptocurrency, you can.
By the way, yeah, Aman says,
For all sorts,
bad
all
idea.
sorts of
Redirect
things.
all attack traffic to your competitor's website. I don't think that's that bad of an idea.
Well, and that actually brings a good point, right? Like what's the motivation behind these attacks, right?
Yeah.
And I think historically, again, going back to the early 2000s, as Ashley was saying, it was fame,
Yep.
people knowing who
Like
you
graffiti,
were.
like graffiti, kind
Yeah,
of.
fun,
Yeah.
and then it became extortion and business disruption, right? Like around 2008, 10, 12, and then mid 2015, it became a hacktivism and very political agendas.
Yep.
In the mid 2010s to 20s. Now it's actually I think it's very strategic in how they divert your teams to go and search for something and smoke screens and there's a lot of politically motivated still, but it's a different era where economic warfare might play more into it because you have AI driven botnets, a lot of different tactics. So it keeps changing, right?
Let me I do want to though, I just want to put up Aman's comment here. Could you technically do this? Is there a way, if botnet traffic was coming in, you could put up a mirror and go, no, not here, and send it off to your competitor? Is that physically possible? Could you do that?
Not really, no, but it's interesting that it relates to one of the attack techniques that's being used a lot at the moment, and that is people are reflecting off of the well-known sites like Google and Facebook and that. So the attackers spray those sites with requests, spoofed requests that say they come from you, the victim. And then all of those large, public sites unload all of the responses onto your site. So
what's the name of that attack?
That would be a SYNAC reflection.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But these are occurring at power and magnitude like 10x, 100x that they used to. So this is a significant high-powered attack that's been used. And the reason it's so annoying is you can't just block Google. So the attacking address is actually a well-known desirable service. So if you try and block the attacker, you're now blocking all of your network's access to that important resource. Yeah. So it's a very tricky one to defend against these days.
All right, I've got a game for us.
Oh.
Hello, welcome to the Department of Yes, where no request is ever rejected.
All right, that's Kira Wojak. Here's her bad idea. Engage a network of AI bots to scrape your website until it crashes, ideally during business hours, then add extra bandwidth to adjust to that level of traffic. Do that regularly. A malicious DDoS attack can't take you offline if you're doing it to yourself. So it's kind of like an inoculation. I'll start with you, Ash. Why do you want to do this? Remember, this is the Department of Yes. You have to say yes to this.
That's right. That's right. Let's do it. Bring it on. Let's buy more transit, buy more capacity, load up more servers. There's denial of wallet now attacks going on.
Hold on, but let me ask you, both of you, on this. By the way, I'm going to give you. I like that. In the early days of DDoS, did people solve this problem by just buying more bandwidth?
Yes.
Yeah.
They thought they just absorbed the attack.
Yeah.
And in fact, there are a few of the biggest networks in the world, like the Googles and the Azures and that, can to some extent soak it up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean at that size.
Mine's bigger than yours, kind of thing.
Someone provided this 10% better tip. My apologies, I can't remember who it is. But I mean, kind of the point of the CDN. Can a CDN help you deal with this?
CDNs do provide DDoS protection, but only for the content that they're accelerating. So if they attack the origin site, the thing that's behind the CDN, then those DDoS requests can find their way to where your bank account number actually lives.
But also, if they're going to the core, I guess they're just dealing with, so they can take the content sort of essentially offline from your network and deal with just protecting the content. So like if you have a news site, a CDN will help with that, but then, you would have other problems.
putting a CDN or some other a DDoS cloud protection service in front of your website is a good step. It's part of the defenses you can engage if you have the right kind of traffic that can be protected with those techniques. So that's one of the steps you should consider.
You just gave me an idea for the yes. It's like, oh yes, infrastructure team, you want more money for your CDN bills, and you want more expansion of those services. Let's do this every week, so we can prove that you need more money for that. The CDN bills are going up.
This is a way to increase your budget. Actually, I like that. All right, here we go. This from Andrew Aiken. Here we go. At the first sign of a DDoS, have the CISO manually unplug every server cable and require a written memo. It's signed in triplicate. Let's just say a written memo before plugging them back in. So go from digital to analog back to digital again. I think that's what the take is. Eduardo, why do you want to do this?
Okay, so I will say, of course, let's do that so we can show the business how vulnerable we are. And I relate it back to the risk, right? Like, hey, we're down to a cable at this point. Like all this tech and all these, blinking lights, but we can be taken down by a cable. So I'll turn it into a positive for our executives. Hey,
that's similar to the last. Yes, it's showing how vulnerable you are. It's
risks everywhere, right? Like we have risk everywhere.
Foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And let's, let me prove you. It's like, I like this
prove
one.
how vulnerable you are by doing myself to us. All right, Ash, why do you want to do this?
Well, it's like it's can't make it any worse if we're already offline. So go for it. How about it?
Actually, that's you want to get to 100% protection. Let's disconnect ourselves from the web.
Well, yeah, that's 100% protection. Let's
complete the DDoS. Yeah.
All right. By the way, go to our poll, please, and click on the poll if you would like a nice handoff to the people over at Carrero. You've actually given us a lot of great wisdom about DDoS. All right, I'm going to do one thing. We're going to come back, but actually, let's get to a couple of questions, and then I'm going to ask you one other question. Wait, here we go. Is DNS-based DDoS still a thing? Yes, very much so. Let's just move on from that one. Okay, so you kind of answered this one too, Ash, because you were saying about the amount of Gen AIs going there. But how do you see Gen AI reshaping the balance between attackers and defenders in the next 3 years? Also, just Gen AI is causing its own problems on its own without it being attack and defense.
Well, that was one of my bad ideas. AI. Yeah. Oh, leave it to AI. They will solve it. They will stop it.
Yeah.
No, we were just having a debate about the influence of AI, mainly in the programming assist side of things, but it's very easy now to take advantage of attack tools that are out there, and with a little bit of AI assisted coding, you can reconfigure it to make it into new attacks, new tools, and really leverage it. So it's going to up the ante, just like it's making everybody else more productive. It's going to make the bad guys more productive too.
All right.
There's no. Yeah.
Good point. All right. This is a good question it's directed specifically for you, Ash, from John Simonetti. Right. Just how does Carrero mitigate DDoS attacks? Is it permanent or temporary? Can it be permanent?
Well, permanent would be more like a firewall rule that you just don't let that protocol into your network. But mostly it's dynamic because
all of DDoS is pretty dynamic.
They go after. Well, yeah, and they go after resources that you can't afford to block permanently. Yeah. You can't block Google forever, right? You've got to figure out of the packets that are coming from Google, which are the good ones and which are the bad ones. So, no, permanent is not a defense strategy. Just switching something off doesn't work in our experience.
And they're gonna switch. They don't come from one source. Historically, permanent work for a minute or two, probably.
Yeah.
All right. So here, let me do one quick thing. I'm going to ask Josh. Can you click the slide deck, the end slide deck, because this damn button thing's not working for me. And And by the way, click on the register for 42525 now, because that is going to change in just a couple of minutes. Go ahead, click the slide deck that says end, please, Josh. I can't do it. There we go. Thank you. Here we go. Carrero Networks. Huge thanks to Carrero for sponsoring this episode of Super Cyber Friday. That's really good. Thank you for dropping the knowledge, Ash and Eduardo, on this. I really greatly appreciate it. Hey, guess what's happening at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific? Cybersecurity Headlines Week in Review. And guess who's going to be hosting? Me. I'll be hosting this week. And we have got Trina Ford, who's the CISO for iHeartMedia, and I had her on an episode of CISO Series podcast, and she is absolutely awesome. So stick around for that. That is actually on YouTube. It's not on this platform. It's over on YouTube. So go to youtube.com/CISO Series. You can be there, or just go to our events page on YouTube, and you'll find it there. There's actually a picture of Trina. Click on that, and you'll find it. But again, we go live, and you can be part of the chat like we do here on this show. Hey, change that link at the bottom of the screen to our meetup portion, which will be on the Discord server. There it is. Just change there. So when we finish this out, which will be in about 9 minutes, we are all going to click on that where it says the Discord thing, and we'll all go over there and we'll chat. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, that's where we have the that's where your audio and video settings are on Discord. Would you like to sponsor a Super Cyber Friday? Go ahead and email us over at info@cisoseries.com. I believe we have an availability in May, one at the end of May, I believe. I don't know. And that is it. All right. So with that being said, let me get to, hold on, was there one new question that came in I wanted to do? Oh, well, I don't know this. Valentine, asked this question. I don't even know what this is. So it's obviously a question for you, Ash. Does Carrero use XDP eBPF? What the heck is that? Excuse my ignorance.
Yeah, so BPF, if for networking folks, is something that's been around for decades. It's a great Berkeley packet filter. It's a tool for matching packets, and this capability has now been built into most modern, Unix-based operating systems, Linux-based operating systems, and it gives you a way to monitor traffic in the stack and also filter the traffic. So yes, it's a fantastic tool that's been added to most of the modern distributions that allows you to protect your server-based resources actually on the server themselves. So you still need to detect the attack, and you still need to figure out what filter to put in to the eBPF. But in terms of a little mechanism that's going to be very, very useful in the future, it's a great tool, yes.
So
Right.
XCP is a new version of the VPF, like the augmented.
Yeah,
Like
eBPF is used to refer to the capability that's built into the operating system these days. It would have been like NetFilter, that kind of stuff in the past, but now there's the little code engine can actually execute inside the OS very efficiently. So this is something you can afford to monitor and test and block at the performance levels of the normal server without having to jump out to another stack or another context. So it's great. It's a great capability that you can.
I remember BPF, but the XDP, I was not aware of it. So,
let me ask both of you a question, or actually, let me ask. Yeah, quick answer, just for you, Eduardo, first, or actually both of you. What have you seen as unexpected consequences of DDoS, or is it kind of more of the same?
Unexpected. I mean, it's more of the same, but I would say in our, and I can say about, in our case, right, it's probably brand reputation. If some, even with the customers, right, where we're not able to process, orders because of something that broke, and we actually, when we did the whole investigation, it comes down to, oh, wow, there was a denial of service attack, or this server was down for some, I think that's something that people don't think about it. But when you're B2B and you're stopping sales or orders to come in, you're going to get, we think about it in a different way now on the business side. That's one of the kind of like unknown. And like I said before, believe it or not, we have spikes on our cloud and CDN bills from one month to the other. and it's related to that. And sometimes those come really high, and when we go back and look, oh wow, we have there's no reason for the spike. We were defending against it, and that's a way of making us spend more money. So those are two that the business side first, but then we see the bills coming to us. It's like, oh, why are we spending 3 times this month? What happened?
All right,
even though we support it, yeah.
We just have 5 minutes left, so I want to ask you a quick question, and same question for both of you. What have we not brought up whoops, here. How do we get that? I want to remove that. Oh, I see the question thing. What have we not brought up, Ash, about DDoS that we should have been discussing?
Well, I think we almost touched on it when you were asking about, is it a solvable problem? So prevention is not solvable, right? But protection is. So it's just a cost of doing business these days. Just like other cybersecurity protections you need, you have to understand the threat and then invest in your solution to protect yourself against this ongoing problem. It's like, if you want to do business on a global public internet, you have to have the right cyber defenses in place to make sure that your system is available for your customers or your citizens, or your chemical processes or your aircraft or your hospitals, right? You can't be irresponsible these days. You have to plan to protect against this ongoing threat.
Yeah,
right,
Eduardo says the same.
Yeah.
Become proactive in all types, not only DDoS, but early warning detection, threat feeds, everything that you can do to be ahead of the game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's the best you can do in these situations. Again, let me remind people, please go over to the poll right now and go ahead and click on the would you like a warm handoff to the nice people over at Carrero? Please go click on that. Either answer will actually get you a nice warm handoff to them right now. All right. I think we'll wrap this up right now. Hey, huge thanks to both Eduardo Ortiz and also to Ash Stevenson from Carrera. Huge thanks to Carrera for sponsoring this event. And we love the chat room. If you didn't register for next week's event, just go to our website, CISOseries.com. You'll be able to register there. I greatly, greatly appreciate this, and I greatly appreciate the crowd. Now, the link at the bottom, it's to Discord. You click on it or just open your Discord account, which I just opened myself. Go there, join us, post-show chat. We can keep talking about this or, heck, anything else you want to talk about. Eager to hear from you. Go over there. Thank you very much, Ash. Thank you very much, Eduardo.
Thank you.
I greatly appreciate it. Josh and Andrew, who are our producers, did an awesome job today. Take us out. There's also the Discord link there. Go over to the Discord. Go to the Discord.